This is the Xiaomi 14 Ultra, Xiaomi's newest flagship phone. Now, if you're someone interested in camera-centric flagships, Xiaomi's given you a lot of reasons to be very interested in this one. Hey guys, my name's Ash, and a little over a week back, my Xiaomi 14 Ultra was delivered. Usually, I'd have posted my unboxing and first impressions by now, but given this one is launching globally, I wanted to do a little more than a spec highlight video. So now I've spent over a week with the 14 Ultra as my primary. I've tested it out to the best of my abilities. In today's video, I'm going to be sharing my experience with you. I'm going to be showing you the pros, the cons, and everything in between. I'm going to do my best to help ensure you guys can make an informed decision on if the Xiaomi 14 Ultra is worth your time and attention, and more importantly, money. This is last year's Xiaomi 13 Ultra, and Xiaomi's not drastically changed the design with this year's 14 Ultra. The sides are still metal, the back is still eco leather. I mean, not with this variant though. This blue has a ceramic back which is slippery and picks up fingerprints very easily. Now it's also worth noting that there is also a titanium edition this time. For the most part, Xiaomi seems to have taken a if it ain't broke approach with respect to the design, the materials used, the IP rating, etc. One subtle change they've made though is if you look at the top of the phone here, it looks cleaner. Now that's because the IR blaster, it's now been incorporated into the camera array right next to the flash. Now one more subtle change is with this back. On the 13 Ultra, the back would get thicker around the camera, giving it a kind of sort of retro camera vibe. And it looked good, sure, but it also made the phone a little top heavy. This time around with the 14 Ultra, there is no such curve. It's still a little top heavy thanks to that huge camera bump, yes, but it feels a tad better ergonomically. Now talking about the curves, the display curves on all four sides now, and this is something I absolutely loved with the 14 Ultra. Now I do understand some people don't like the curves and the reflections that come with it, but in this case, I really think it's worth it. It's a very gentle curve, and when you swipe from the sides to go back, when you swipe from the bottom to come back home, it all felt very natural. Absolutely loved it. Now this is a 6.73-inch AMOLED panel from TCL. The resolution is Quad HD+, refresh rate 120 Hz, the support for LTPO. What's gone up is the brightness peak. Xiaomi now claim 3000 nits for HDR. In my testing, we got around 550 nits under manual mode, 800 with the sunlight mode turned on. Under auto mode, it went up to 1100 nits, which if you look at it is a little conservative. It's a little lower than what we see from other flagships, but it still felt good enough. I was easily able to see the screen when I was taking pictures outdoors, when I was using the phone outdoors. Now this panel, it gets you DC dimming at higher brightness levels and 1920 Hz PWM dimming when lower. For protection, this time Xiaomi's used their own Xiaomi Shield glass, also known as Longjing glass. This is something we've already seen with the Xiaomi 14 Pro. Now another thing the Xiaomi 14 Ultra shares with the 14 Pro is the hardware on the inside and how it performs. So yes, this means this phone can also not get through a 3D Mark Wildlife Extreme stress test without crashing out. But that said, it can hit solid numbers with respect to benchmarks, and there's enough horsepower to run most games well, even with a bit of throttling thanks to the Gen 3 on the inside. It does get a little warm at times, and the huge camera bump, it leaves a lot to be desired with respect to gaming ergonomics. That said, here it's the Gen 3, it's been paired with 12 or 16 gigs of LPDDR5X RAM, 256, 512 or 1TB of UFS 4.0 storage. Do note that outside of China, there's only one SKU being sold, 16512. Now another change between the Chinese version and global, it's the battery capacity. In this Chinese unit, Xiaomi offers a 5300 mAh battery. The global version, it's got a slightly lower capacity battery, 5000 mAh. The 5300 mAh battery here, it uses silicon carbon anode tech. If I were to hazard a guess, I'd say they probably had issues getting certifications for the technology. Again, this is pure speculation on my part. Now for what it's worth, the battery life, excellent. With regular usage, I ended most days with about 40% left in the tank. And if I needed to top up, there's an included 90-watt wired charger, which would get me about 40% in 10 minutes, full charge in a little over half an hour. Also note the Type-C port here that you use to charge the phone. This is USB 3.2 and supports up to 10 gigabits per second transfer speeds. Now there is also wireless charging support at up to 80 watts, though here you need Xiaomi's own proprietary charger to hit those speeds, and that's not something I managed to test out. Talking about things I've not been able to get my hands on, the photography kit add-on package. Basically, this is an optional accessory package that you can buy for the 14 Ultra. It comes with an eco leather case, a strap for it, a decorative ring to go around the camera array, a 67mm filter adapter. You can use this to say screw on an LD filter, and then finally the new photography grip. This year Xiaomi's got the grip connecting to the phone via USB instead of Bluetooth. So this now lets you charge the 14 Ultra with the grip attached. And this grip itself, it sports a 1500 mAh battery, so it can also add a little bit to the battery life. Pretty cool, right? Now here they've included a video record button, and of course you've got your two-stage shutter key, a custom dial, and a zoom lever, which is especially cool given with the 14 Ultra, Xiaomi now lets you zoom and switch camera sensors when shooting a video. Okay, the cameras. The quad camera setup to the back. Again, no drastic change here, but there are a couple of very important ones. Before we get to that, this is video sponsor Anbernic's new handheld, the RG556. Guys, this is a pretty cool handheld. Now, I'm sure you know, even if you don't care, I'm sure you've heard me talk about this a lot. In the last few years, I've tried out way too many handhelds. And believe me when I say this, the ergonomics on this, a whole different level. It's a great fit in hand, it's better than the G Cloud, better than the Odin 2, it's super comfortable. It is also one of the very few handhelds to come with an OLED screen. It's quite powerful, capable of running GameCube and even PS2 titles, and Anbernic priced the RG556 very aggressively. Now to know more about this OLED Anbernic RG556, check out the link I leave in the description below. I mean, seriously, this one's pretty cool. Now coming back to the Xiaomi 14 Ultra, the cameras. The primary sensor is now the new Sony Litia Lite 900. This is a 2nd Gen 1-inch sensor. It's supposed to be more efficient. They're still using a variable aperture lens, but the lens is now faster. It can now go from f1.63 to f4. So you get a stronger blurring of the background, a shallower depth of field when needed, and you can still continue shooting those starburst shots that we saw on the 14 Pro. Now guys, here are some side-by-sides that I took with the iPhone 15 Pro Max just to give you a point of reference. Now the first thing we see here is that the color science is different. Now that's not too uncommon. Like most Android manufacturers, Xiaomi is okay sacrificing highlights to boost the shadows a little. Like see in this picture, you see how the Xiaomi 14 Ultra has more detail in the shadows, but it does come at a cost, and that's the area around the sun, the highlights being blown out. Barring that, the colors are also slightly punchier, and Xiaomi from time to time edges ahead on detail. By the way, all this was shot under Leica Vibrant. If you shoot Leica Authentic, you do get images that are more toned down. But guys, these are just differences in processing, because camera hardware these days, even on mid-range phones for that matter, it's good enough that you don't see major differences as long as the light is good. But when the sun goes down, that's where you start noticing the hardware difference. That's where the 1-inch sensor should really come into play. But it doesn't. I mean, yes, Xiaomi does do better in some areas. Like here, see how much more detail is in the shot? But the shot itself, it is a lot darker. Or here, in this case, the 14 Ultra, it's exposed the shot well enough, but jump in and you can see the image, it's soft. So basically the hardware seems strong, but the software, not so much. Anyways, moving on, the other 3 sensors, they remain unchanged from the Xiaomi 13 Ultra. So it's 350 megapixel Sony IMX858 sensors. And since they use the same sensor, Xiaomi's been able to match colors quite well. Now first, let's start with the ultra wide. Here the 858 is paired with a 12mm equivalent lens with an f1.8 aperture. This also pulls double duty for macro shots. In fact, all 3 secondary cameras can do macro. So the next one, it's a 3.2x telephoto for portrait shots like this. And they look nice. This one also has an f1.8 aperture with a minimum focal distance of just 10 centimeters, letting you shoot telephoto macro. Then finally we have the 120mm equivalent setup. This is the 5x telephoto. This lens has been upgraded. It's now faster at f2.5, meaning it can allow for even more light in. Now this lens can also be used for telephoto macro at a minimum focus distance of 30 centimeters. And beat it up with the exception of the ultra wide, the other 3 cameras have optical stabilization. While the primary can do 8K 30 and 4K 120, all 3 sensors are capable of shooting 4K 60, and the results, they're quite good, pretty close to what the iPhone delivers. And like I said, this time around, Xiaomi does let you switch between the sensors when you're shooting. Now that's a positive. On the selfie front, we have a 32 megapixel shooter, and this does a fine job without any stupid auto skin smoothing. In fact, I like it enough that I'd choose it over the iPhone selfie camera. I feel Xiaomi's handle the skin tones better. Add to it, we also get 4K 60 via the selfie camera this time, so good stuff. From a software perspective, there's AI Ultra Clear that helps improve the zoom results. For video, there's a movie mode. Here you can choose the master option, which lets you shoot 10-bit video. And here's something super cool. There's an automatic zoom option where you get to choose the zoom length and the speed. And then you get to shoot something like this. Pretty cool, right? Now, if you have two humans in the shot, you can actually zoom in on a person. Now, apart from this, you get a bunch of pro LUTs and filters to choose from. There's also an option that lets you connect two devices together and use the other one as a remote trigger / viewfinder. Pretty cool stuff. Barring these kind of camera functions, it's the same HyperOS experience that we've been seeing. Well, to be fair, the Chinese version of this phone does come with support for satellite communication. And actually, the Chinese photography kit, it also includes this. This is a lens cover that also doubles as a satellite signal booster. Now, these aren't available on the global unit. So moving on, with respect to updates, I see some sites reporting 4 years of Android version updates, 5 years of security patches, which is good. But I've not been able to verify that since I don't officially have a Xiaomi contact to reach out to, and they've not said anything officially either, at least not that I know of. If you do come across anything, I'll update the description, so do check that space. Now in China, the Xiaomi 14 Ultra starts at 6499 RMB. That's for the 12 to 56 variant. The 16512 costs 6999 RMB. Now in India, this becomes a lakh, and Europe 1500 euros. So it's a pretty ultra price if you ask me. Now the Xiaomi 14 Ultra is a pretty good phone. But for this asking price, pretty good is just not good enough. Now if you want people to pay an ultra price, then there needs to be a hook, something to entice people to make them want to pay that price. And over here, yes, I understand that should have been the cameras, and in a way they are. The hardware is very good, but the software, there definitely is a lot of room for improvement there. Now I'd say if in a couple of months, if this phone is found on sale 10, 15, 20% off, then yeah, sure, you could probably pick one up. But till then, as the way things stand right now, with this current price, I'm gonna have to market fans only. What? Why are you here? What's this, Avengers? We don't do post credits. Go away now.